Welcome back. Deeply committed to maintaining the current level of public safety protection and equally frustrated by the impending layoff of hundreds of firefighters, Councilman Dwight Boykins felt compelled to take drastic action. 11 days ago, deploying his power to tag or delay action, Boykins stalled nearly every item on the council agenda and threatened to do it again if the city proceeds with shedding 10% of its firefighters. Some called it reckless, while others applauded the stand as principled and appropriate. Councilman Dwight Boykins, thanks for taking the hot seat again.
Thank you for having me. First, can I give a shout out to the University of Houston and Prairie View A&M for making it to the tournament. We're excited.
Awesome, man. Hey, you said at the time this mayor and the council are playing politics with public safety. Why did you launch this filibuster, and will you do it again?
Absolutely. I had an opportunity to go out to the academy, Greg, and look at the 68 firefighter cadets that completed all the training, ready to hit a station, telling me that they were taking out payday loans and borrowing money from family members to make ends meet. And when we could just take, the money is in the budget for them, and we could just take the initiative to swear them in, and the mayor chose not to, it was very disappointing.
Okay, with passage of Prop B, the mayor says we don't have the money to get firefighters pay parity with police. Now, and he's saying we can't do it without layoffs. Do you believe he's made a good faith effort to find funding or consider the proposals from other council members?
Well, let's be clear. The voters passed it on November 6th. November 7th, firefighters were obligated to receive their pay going forward, not 6-7 months later. Let me start with that. Number two, it's our job to govern. We were elected to govern. And so what I mean by that, once the voters passed it, what I did is looked in our budget book and found out where we can bring in new revenue sources. And that's why I brought up the proposed garbage fee, which range now from $19 to $24. Every city in the state of Texas pretty much have a garbage fee. And all we're doing is saying bring in some additional revenue to address the voters' will. We did not say jeopardize public safety by laying off firefighters, potential police officers, and 200 to 300 city employees who would lose health care, who would lose retirement, just because we choose not to go to the voters and tell them what we have to do.
Hey, look, you know, you did bring up that fee. How would it work, and why aren't colleagues on council supporting it?
Well, some are, and one of the council members sent out a survey that was incorrect, saying that the money will be used directly to pay for firefighters. That ain't the way it worked. We will place the money in an enterprise zone, and that money will be, that money will be used specifically for what it's collected for, and that's to address solid waste. But then what we will do is look at the general fund budget and move some of that general fund money over to pay the mandate by the voters in the city of Houston. We have to understand, if we start trying to overturn and change the will of voters, we don't have a democracy anymore. And so what I'm trying to do, I'm not saying it's the best answer, but it's the only sustainable fund that will be able to take care of this issue immediately and pay the men and women of the fire department what they deserve, what the voters ask us to do.
Councilman, the mayor says Houston desperately needs more police officers, but can safely reduce the number of firefighters on its force. Now, given the size of our city and our growing population, do you believe that? And more importantly, do you believe the public believes that?
I don't think the public believes. The public turned out almost 2.5 to 1 to pass Prop B. 80%, if not 75 to 80% of the calls will be EMS calls. Those are people on low income that can't afford, Greg, like you and I, to drive to the medical center. They count on their ambulance service to come and protect them. It's important that we make certain we keep that type of system in place. And let's talk about reducing the 400 firefighters. I can assure you the response time from fire department going to save people's lives will go down. And that's not right. It's our job to find solutions. We can find solutions for everything else, but we can talk about public safety, whether it's police or fire. You will see Councilman Boykins taking a leadership position.
Council member, this week Houston lost a competition to host the Democratic National Convention. Do you think the city's ongoing impasse with firefighters played a role with the decision makers?
I don't think it helped. I think as a Democratic convention coming into a city where collective bargaining rights are being challenged, I mean, you can expect our chairman, Mr. Perez, to say, okay, Houston is on board with the values of the Democratic Party.
Okay, you have stated that you are happy and grateful to represent the people of District D. But I have to ask you, are you at least pondering the possibility of leading the entire city with a run for mayor?
Right now, 400 firefighters, 200 city employees, 100 police officers is my number one concern. 400 firefighters, 200, that's 600 people unemployed, no health insurance because we're playing politics. That's my number one concern right now.
Okay, but you would ponder it, wouldn't you?
Wherever God leads me, let me be clear about that, and that's the way I operate. But 400 firefighters, 200 city employees, and 100 police officers, that's where my focus is.
Councilmember, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Good to have you in the hot seat.